All right, replacing the clutches on a 2000 883 Sportster. Drain the primary oil first, and then see, I got that draining. You're gonna pull this off, pull your shifter, which I already did, just to show you. When you're pulling the shifter, make sure you pull the 1/4-20 all the way out, because the 1/4-20 actually locks right there alongside that groove. If you just break it loose, you're just going to be fighting that. You got to pull it all the way out, then your shifter can come out. Okay. I'm going to pull this pedal, this foot peg assembly. Then we're going to break this all loose, take it off. Derby cover, ball and ramp assembly, disconnect the clutch. That's coming, so derby cover's coming out, all that's coming out. And then we'll pull the outer primary cover off, which will reveal to us the clutches, the clutch basket and all of that. All right, stand by. So, by the way, I'm also going to drop the shoe on the chain tensioner. So I'm going to break this loose and run this guy down. That's going to bring my tensioner, my chain tensioner, that is behind here, pushing up on the primary chain. I'm going to drop that down. Okay. All right, there you go. So far, derby cover's off. I'm going to slack this clutch cable. Whoops. There goes the derby cover gasket. Just dropped in the oil, but oh well, we got a gasket kit, right? So we're going to slack up the clutch cable. Just run this barrel nut up. Running the barrel nut up shortens the clutch cable overall and gives you the slack you need. Okay, I'm going to do that. Stand by. All right, righty loosey, lefty tighty. It's probably one of the few things you'll have to, you know. Anyway, this side is from this perspective, it's you're turning clockwise and everything's loosening up. But what's actually happening is on the other side of this shank right here, the opposite end, me turning this side right is actually turning the opposite side left for loose. Okay, it's just a matter of perspective. Okay, that comes out. Ball and ramp assembly comes out. Boom. Throw that in the parts bin. Yeah, we'll deal with that. I need 2 hands. So this clutch cable doesn't have to come off. I get it off just because it's easier to handle the primary without it in the way, whipping around everywhere. All right. All right. Good, it doesn't look too bad. All right, so we're gonna make a tool to push on that the spring plate, so I can pull all of that out, get to the clutches. All right, in this case, we're going to use a Timken bearing race, or you could just use a piece of pipe cut off and a piece of metal. I'm going to use a chain link. This is going to go here. This will have a hole drilled through the center. That will be clearance for this stud, right? And then I'm going to take the adjusting nut that came off of there, and I'm going to use that to apply pressure. As I tighten down, it's going to apply pressure onto this race, which is going to apply pressure to the spring plate, and it'll allow me to get to the snap rings and pop this puppy off. All right, there you go. That's the first half of it. That literally took less than 5 minutes. Just found center with calipers. Super easy to do. Punched a hole. All right. Zoom in. There you go. Okay, so 3/4 flathead's gonna go right there. Okay, so I got slop in there now. Now I'll be able to pause it. All right. So I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that. So you want to crank down on this guy until you start seeing like pretty much that much slop. What you're looking for is, use a pointer. So right there is the snap ring. Right here is another ring with the shoulder. Like this is the shoulder of that other ring. It's a retainer. It holds this guy from potentially coming undone when this is all buttoned up. It holds the snap ring in place inside these finger grooves. So you want enough slop to where you can push that shoulder down. You can push that inner ring down below the snap ring so that you could then start to close the snap ring and get it out the way. So I'm going to tighten this down a little bit more just till I could push this below that. Okay. All right. I tried to zoom it in as best I could to give you an idea what's going to happen here. Pushing that inner ring in. And there you go. So that's the inner ring. I was talking about has that shoulder. So I'm sure you could imagine just by looking at that how that holds the snap ring in place. Okay, so once you get that, this guy can come out and set it aside. And we take our clutches out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these guys out. I'll turn off the camera for now. There. See how they all just fell out? All right. So now it's time to put the whole clutch assembly up in there. It's a Barnett clutch pack, so friction plate, steel plate, friction plate, steel plate. Just gonna alternate throwing them in there one at a time, and then button it up. Just do the reverse of what I showed you. All right, stand by. Okay, show you where we're at so far. We got my jig off. This guy's in there. So you put the pressure plate on, you know, reverse order of how you took it off, right? And then get a super close up. Before you release pressure on your tool, or whatever you create to take this pressure plate off. So when you get this snap ring in there, you see these fingers, these cleats? Each finger, there's one there, there's one there, and so on. You want to make sure that that snap ring has the same reveal. You'll know it's seated all the way inside each finger, each of those cleats, because you can see right there's my pointer, how my snap ring is inside that groove, right? What's easier to see is the reveal right here between this finger and what's left showing of the snap ring. So you're gonna go, before you release pressure on your jig or your tool, you're gonna go around and look and make sure you got the same reveal all the way around, because you're gonna break that if you don't do that right. Secondly, you're gonna make sure this retaining ring, this one here, this inner ring retains this snap ring. It keeps it from potentially closing in and jumping out. You want to make sure that that guy is happy. All right, and then you can go ahead and release tension. And then there's the old clutch pack. I got the let me stand up. You want to get your outer primary cover clean to your liking, gasket surfaces clean, and then same thing to the inner primary. You want to make sure all your gasket surfaces are clean to your liking, and then you're ready to button it up. All right. All right, I'm just going to lift up on this chain. Oops. Gonna lift up on the primary chain so I could get it, so I could raise it up above this shoe. Okay. All right, so I got the chain on, primary chain on top of the shoe. Now I can position my gasket, get that back in place. Okay. I'm gonna take a bolt. All right. Take here. Okay. So obviously I'm going to get all the bolts started, and then we'll go tighten them up according to the bolt pattern. 1, 2, work your way around, work your way around. I do it a little bit different. I'm not going to show you how I do it because I don't want to show you something that's not to the book. Okay? Bye. All right. Got the primary cover on, outer cover back on. Torque down. Obviously the whole peg assembly, shifter assembly. Clutch cable. Clutch cable with new O-ring. New gasket kit. Everything is going to get all new gaskets. Everything is going to go in reverse order of how I took it apart. And then maybe I'll show you the adjustment on the primary chain. It's pretty simple. Just gonna let's see. Yeah. So this shank right here, as you tighten it, that's gonna raise up the shoe, the tensioner, the chain tensioner in there. That shoe's gonna come up. It's gonna put tension on the primary drive chain, and then through this inspection hole, you'll be able to see the top part of the chain, right? And the deflection you want is gonna be a 1/2 inch. You're gonna reach in there and raise up a 1/2 inch. You know, you'll check the slack until you get a 1/2 inch of deflection. Basically, the chain is going to be somewhere right here, right? You're going to put some tension on it. You'll have this cover off. You'll put tension on it, and then you'll check the slack, see where it's at, right? And you'll just keep putting tension on it until you get a 1/2 inch of lift, or what's called deflection, chain deflection, okay? You can take a scale, right, and say I got a 6-inch scale and I bump the chain, and I bump the chain, and right here where my thumb is, I'm looking at the 6-inch scale, right, taking note of where it's at, and I'm going to bump the chain and raise up until I see a 1/2 inch of deflection going up, right? And that's telling me I'm at that sweet spot. Another way, if you don't have a 6-inch scale or a ruler, is get you a 1/2 inch wrench and just stick the 1/2-inch wrench like this, right? And just eyeball straight, looking straight through that 1/2-inch wrench, the chain, and then take a screwdriver with the other hand and lift the chain up until you're getting a 1/2 inch of travel within that wrench. Okay, and that's it. I don't think you guys really need to see me put it all back together. You saw me take it apart. I'm just doing the reverse of all of that. Thank you for watching. Oh, later I'm gonna put the bike on a center stand, and when I go to fill the oil up, this dark portion right here, that's the pressure plate that I made that jig with and pushed down on. So that dark portion is the pressure plate. With this bike on a center stand, I'm gonna fill the oil up. See that little shiny silver line right there? I'm gonna fill the oil up right until I get to that pressure plate. But the bike's gotta be straight up and down level, okay? Thank you. Alright, so new O-ring behind the inspection cover, O-rings for the hardware, we got an O-ring for the derby cover, gaskets. You just get a genuine James gasket kit for your bike, and it's gonna come perfect for everything. Their fit is always nice. Yeah. It'll even come with the O-ring for your clutch cable. It'll come with your gaskets for this shifter. Alright, so I got the inspection cover off. There's my primary chain. I'm using a 6-inch scale. The graduations on this are in 100,000ths of an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then that first number 1, obviously 1 inch. All right, so it's not a, doesn't have to be an exact science, but close enough is good enough. All right, so I'm touching the chain with my 6-inch scale. See that chain moving? All right, so I'm just on the chain. If you look at the number 1, the 1-inch mark on the 6-inch scale, where it is in reference to that counter bore in the inspection hole, you see it's right there on that transition. So now if I push my 6-inch scale up, lifting up the primary chain, you'll see that I'm all the way up to 1 inch 700,000ths. That's about 1 inch and 3/4. About, there you go, 1 and 3/4 right there. So that's telling me I have 3/4 of an inch of travel, right? So what I'm going to do is I just put it in gear. I'm going to turn my wheel. There you go. So look at that primary chain. I put it in first gear. I'm rolling the rear wheel backwards like that. See how that chain just tensioned up? All right. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to adjust the tensioner from the bottom of this primary. I'm going to adjust the tensioner to start taking up slack, right? And then when I feel like, you know, I've traveled about a 1/4 inch, I'm going to check it. And then what I'm going to do when I check for slack, after I've brought up my chain tensioner via that this Allen head, there's a little Allen hex head underneath here. You stick an Allen wrench in, run this up, starts taking up slack. It starts raising up the tensioning shoe. Okay, this is just a lock nut, keep it in place. I'm going to raise up, start taking up slack. And then I'm going to roll my rear wheel in the forward direction like that, right? What that does is, so I went from being tight because I rolled the rear wheel backwards, right, to get all the slack down on the bottom of the chain. In other words, all this is tight, all the slack is down on the bottom side. Brought my tensioner up, and now I'm going to roll the rear wheel forward like that, sending slack up to the top. All right, so there I'm at my 1 inch mark, 400 thousandths. So 400 thousandths is almost 500 thousandths. 500 thousandths is a 1/2 inch, right? Of travel. I'm happy with that. 400 thousandths. Okay. So I might bring it up just a hair, tensioner up just a hair, and tighten it down, lock it in place.